Welcome to Risky Routes, a short interview series telling the stories of moments when travel forces you to grow up and adapt fast. Because risk creates perspective, and perspective creates success. We talk about the chaotic, uncomfortable, and borderline bad idea journeys that pushed people to level up, trust themselves, and take control of their lives. I'm your host, Olivia Goldstein. Today, I am joined by my dear friend, Sophia Marshall. Sophia is a community builder, event strategist, and startup ecosystem operator who has spent over a decade designing experiences that help founders take smart risks and bet on themselves. She's currently the senior program manager of startup ventures at UB's Business and Entrepreneur Partnerships at the University of Buffalo, where she works closely with early stage founders, investors, and partners to really build out programming that blends capital, connections, and real world momentum. Sophia's career hasn't followed a straight line. Oh man, I relate to that. It's been shaped by saying yes to uncomfortable opportunities, learning on the fly, and trusting her instincts, often while far from home. From navigating high stakes events and partnerships to taking personal leaps that tested her independence and risk tolerance, she's learned that confidence is built through action, not certainty. At the center of her work is a belief that the most meaningful career moves come from self-trust, adaptability, and being willing to step into the unknown, whether that's on the road or in your professional life. And fun fact, when I first moved back to Buffalo, Sophia was actually my first work friend.
Oh
Yay.
my gosh.
I love that.
I
I still
forget
remember
that.
our coffee together.
I know, me
I know.
too.
So
Oh
fun.
my gosh. That's
Um,
hysterical.
I know. So you reached out with a great story from when you were living in Europe. Tell me what
Yes.
happened.
Okay, so quick background. So my background and major graduated from Niagara University in hospitality, luxury hotel operations. So at the time, I was working on Lake Como, Italy, and Bellagio, and really just took that experience by the horns. I like day five in. Decided I was going to spend most of my time just making friends with the locals and using my language immersion, and that made me totally fluent in Italian. And very early on, I became confident enough to hang out with the locals on my own. However, the caveat there was that the ones that I was going to be meeting up with after a dinner out were already at the club. So I decided at that time, Bellagio is essentially like the suburbs of Milan. It's about an hour train ride. It was walkable, so I just said, you know what, like screw it, I'm just going to go by myself. And at that point, I'd never, those of us now that travel for work have sat at many bars, by
Yeah.
themselves or gone to the movies,
Wait,
etc. But
how
I
old
never
are you at
gone.
this point?
I was 20.
Okay, so you're
Um,
young. Yeah.
I was young. I was young. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go by myself and it'll just be great and I'll find them and it'll be fine. So, sort of the first obstacle was I get there and the bar bouncer was not letting me in. You had to be on some list, etc.
Jeez, okay.
So I started speaking to him in Italian. At this point, I was pretty almost fluent. And I just said, "Can you please let me in? I'm by myself. I can see my friends, right behind you at their, area in the club. And you'll trust me, you won't even know I'm here." And so sure enough, he did. So that turned into a great night. But then as the night was progressing, I was like, okay, it's getting late and I have to work tomorrow. So just gonna,
Yeah.
skedaddle. And normally I would be, walking back with, I had a roommate at the time. She was already in bed. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk back by myself. And I figured because most of that area is Latin with cobblestone steps that are very, very steep. I was like, I'm just going to go not the usual way that's closer, but I'll go a little bit further down to save me a couple steps. So I get into the center of the square, and at this point, like Bellagio, again, like it has a club, but most of the shops close rather early.
Hmm.
I'm passing the center square, there's like a fountain, and I see one guy just like alone, just standing there. And I pass him, and as I pass him, we're making eye contact.
Oh no.
And in my brain, I was like, he's gonna follow me. And sure enough, I pass him. He starts following me. I start walking faster. He starts walking faster.
No.
I start running like full on. I ran track in high school. I did the 400 and the hurdles. He starts running after me like full on sprint.
What?
So yeah, it was
Wait, you
like,
didn't even speak to him. He's just chasing you.
no. Didn't even speak. I was just alone, just on my way home. And it was, yeah, probably like 1 in the morning. And so at this point, I'm like running for my life. And again, as I mentioned, it's like the only way home is up like steep cobblestone stairs. And while I am very fast, I was like, I don't know what this guy's got in terms of his track and field history. So in
Yeah.
that moment, I was like, okay, I know there are two restaurant owners where they typically like close a little bit later. And it was like within like 2 seconds, I kind of pivoted and one of them was open. It was the restaurant owner and his family, and they were just like in there kind of having like a late night glass of wine. And I run in and I'm like, guy, like, and this is all in Italian. I'm like,
Yeah.
this guy is following me. I just ran in here. Like, don't let him in. Like, I don't know where he is. And we see the guy pass by the window again, like 4 times. Like, he was like looking for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrifying. So, I basically, they just had me there for probably an hour and gave me a glass of wine and a piece of bread and whatever else I had to like calm my nerves. And then probably about an hour later I was like, okay, I do have to go home. I'm just gonna book it the whole way home. And it's like a 10-minute walk
Yeah.
normally. And I left and I ran the entire way home up the stairs, up the side of like the hills of Bellagio, and lived to tell the story, needless to say. But yeah, I remember the next morning just getting to work and being like, just another day.
So many questions before we dive into to what you learned from that experience. But my first thought was you obviously were out at the club, so it's not like you were wearing sneakouts or athleisure. Like, what were you wearing that you were having to like do like these full-blown sprints
Oh my
in
gosh.
Italian streets?
So I went to college in the mid 2010s. So picture bodycon, tribal print dress with really impractical
Oh
sandals
my
that
God.
were like this thick. So not great athletic wear
Oh,
to do an
what?
all-out sprint, let alone on cobblestone uphill.
I'm surprised he even kept up with you too, the whole time.
It was crazy. I mean, and I'm probably a little slower nowadays, but back then I was still working out pretty regularly and had just kind of wrapped my soccer career. So I wasn't out of practice. I'll just say that.
Did you ever see him again or run into him?
No, and interestingly, so most of the people, he kind of looked, Eastern European. Most people that travel to that town are the majority of the folks. I worked at the front desk at the hotel I was working at,
Yeah.
are either Australian or from California or somewhere west. And it's such a small town. You see people on the street that you either work
Right.
with or had helped. So yeah, no, he must have. I assume he must have left the next day because you really can't miss people in this town.
So he wasn't like nobody had ever heard of him or seen him before, too.
No, I if I had to guess, he was just in from somewhere in Europe,
That
and
is so scary.
yeah, insane,
So
insane.
how do you like how did that shape one the rest of your trip? Because obviously that's such a jarring experience to you're by yourself and like you, the fear running through your mind thinking like what does this man want? Who is he? What is he doing? And then you're like hiding out in, thank God that those people were so friendly and like welcoming and like looking out for you. But like that would terrify me even like from there on out the following days. Like what if you run into him again? Like what if he shows up or how did that shape your experience from there on out?
Yeah, interesting. Great points all around. You would think it would have like kind of scared me out of, kind of any other travel or solo travel, which I went on to do. But I think it just, if anything, taught me, in general, like when it's late at night and you're a woman and you're leaving a club, maybe, grab a buddy. But I think, more than anything, it just showed that these people are, I was coming from, Buffalo, New York, and super like young and very naive. But despite that, like these people live a totally different lifestyle and are from a different world, and yet they took me in as like one of their own. And so I think it just kind of reaffirmed like, okay, if you embrace others culture, lifestyle, and don't really like fight it, I think that oftentimes when you're on the road, if you just kind of give yourself up to whatever it is that you're surrounded by, you often get surprised.
Yeah.
And that's in a foreign country or just, in a different part of the States. But then too, also, I think it was like, even after that, I was like, okay, you can do things by yourself. You just went to a bar that you would never imagine, going
Right.
to by yourself. And that's okay. And nobody's looking at you like, what a weirdo this person is,
Right.
showing up somewhere by themselves. And many of the time, they're not looking at you at all.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's like I love how, I mean, have you taken solo trips since then? I'm assuming you have because you mentioned
I
it.
did. I did. I went from, let's see, pretty much most of Western Europe. I'll just say that.
Yeah. So it's awesome to hear that it like in a lot of ways, I don't want to say emboldened you, but it's like you had that experience and like you kind of escaped it, right? It's like you knew how to like handle it in that moment in the most appropriate and kind of calculated and thoughtful way that it's like you did avoid any bad things happening because you took all the right moves. Like you I'm thinking through in that moment, like it's like you're obviously in your head panicking, but you were able to still think soundly like, okay, spidey sense up, there's someone watching me, and you already, instead of just kind of waiting around thinking in your head, like I'm just imagining this, you just decided, I'm just going to book it. And then when he started
Mhm.
chasing you and you realized that you had to like escape him, like you found refuge, and like you thought about like this is a place that I know that's open late and these are people that I can go to and explain what happened. So it's like it was still
Mhm.
so calculated every move you did that it's like I feel like now that you've experienced that, it's like I can see how in a lot of ways it's almost like emboldening because it's like you know how to adapt to an extremely like high risk situation. I don't know if I'm
Totally.
speaking for you, but
Yeah. No, you're spot on. It's like it did like emboldened is a great word. In the sense of like, okay, like you've done something really hard and
yeah,
unimaginable in a lot of ways. So anything else that is gonna get thrown at you hopefully will pale in comparison.
right.
And yeah, and I think I tell a lot of people that have started traveling solo for work or want to go abroad and check someplace out. It's just like the awareness that
Yep.
is crucial and integral to your time there.
Yeah.
But also you come back with so much confidence,
You do,
like
right? And it's like you don't want to live in fear, right? Like you could have reacted, which is why I asked you about how you thought about after that situation, navigating and stuff. Like you could either crawl and hide and never want to leave your apartment again because you were terrified from the experience, or you could, one, think of the positive that most people are, inherently good, right? And it's like there were people there that greatly helped you in that situation. And like you successfully handled it the first time. Like you're not going to let it run your life and not allow you to enjoy your time in Italy. So it's like a powerful story in that regard too.
totally. I can
Uh,
agree with her.
that's really really special. Um, have you like so you mentioned you've traveled a lot in Italy, but beyond that, I mean, how do you think about like when you're preparing for either not Italy but Europe trips now, like how that experience kind of shapes before you do something, either an activity or before you plan a trip or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've gotten really good at packing really light, only a carry-on now if I need to, which
Yeah.
used to never. If you had seen the suitcase I had back then, you would have been astonished. I could have fit myself and probably you in it.
Hmm.
Nowadays, I would say, both for myself and anybody that I recommend, especially if they're traveling on a longer leg, the first thing I always say is like any type of, this is my general mantra. I consider somebody that's well traveled, not by how many countries they've been to, but essentially if they've navigated, like, I missed my train, I'm totally
Yep.
lost, I don't speak the language, and I need like a prescription because I'm sick or something like that. That's like my new sort of merit when it comes to, those that are well traveled. And of course, it's amazing if you get to see, any part of the world. So, with that said, I'm usually recommending like worst case scenario things. And even it's funny, after that experience, I actually went on and I taught Italian for 2 years
Oh,
at
cool.
Niagara. And I would tailor my lessons around vocabulary for emergencies.
Oh, that's a good
So,
idea.
like
Yeah.
train and airplane, faux pas and being
Yep.
lost, and how to just ask for help, or anything relative to like engaging a stranger in like a moment of need. So I would say like just on that alone, just like preparing others, hopefully not to be in any type of a situation closer to that. So that was kind of an interesting pivot. But then in terms of just myself and travel, planning for like eight, not even just plan B, but like plan C
Yep.
and D. From the basics of like packing, the weather could be what it'll be, anywhere. If you lose your luggage, which also happened, making sure that you have enough in your carry-on that'll at least get you like 4 days. And now it's so easy. They have
Yeah.
like all these, kits and things like that. Um, but I guess it's funny. Did you watch Project Runway back in the day?
No,
By chance.
I
So
know.
there's a
No.
gentleman by the name of Tim Gunn, and he
Yeah.
was alongside Heidi Klum, and his mantra was like, make it work. And
Yeah.
I just think it's like you can plan a perfect itinerary no matter where you go for work or for,
Yep.
pleasure, but something will happen inevitably. And I think it's just
Yes.
all about like how you take that and, assess what's available to you in the moment
Yep.
to, pivot and make it work.
And that's actually really good advice. I mean, obviously, I've seen you in action at work too, and it's like you've coordinated, planned, executed like super high profile programs and events, and obviously not everything always goes as planned, and you have to be adaptable. And if there's, you know, you're a lot of different things, but adaptability and like able to like remain calm, cool, collected, and like still execute, it like shines through in all of your work. So I can definitely see that from like this experience too. It's like sometimes things just happen and you just gotta like roll with it and figure out like what is the best solution for this situation.
Totally. And I think too, like this kind of speaks to like the importance of just relationship building and then relying on that village, and also not being afraid, especially if you're like an individual contributor. Sometimes like you're just wired to work solo, but like asking for help and doing it early on.
Yep.
I think earlier in my career, I was maybe a little worried to, lean on people out of fear that they would think I was incompetent. But in all reality, it's like, hey, a vendor dropped out and I need a replacement tomorrow or today.
Yep.
And not being afraid to like pick up the phone and just be like, hey, look, like this is what's going on. I, am certain you can pull through. I just need, this just needs to happen for the sake of, whatever event or program, et cetera. So I think that in a weird way kind
Yes.
of like compelled me to really like thread that through everything I do in
Yes.
my professional
I
life.
can totally see that. That makes a lot of sense. Oh my God. Well, thank you for sharing the story. I love it. I'm glad you're safe.
Thank
And I
you. Me
love
too.
even more that it's just like, instead of like, you just like fought back. You're like, all right, F it. Like, I'm going to keep traveling solo. It's not going to stop me. Like, I outran him. What now? Like, track star.
Exactly.
I love it.
I know for my next trip, I'll have to like get back on the treadmill a couple weeks before, but
Uh,
knock on wood, we won't need to use that skill
no.
set.
So usually how I like to end these things is I have, because I, travel, rapid fire questions that I want to ask you,
Okay.
this or that. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right.
Yes, let's do it.
They're all travel oriented. All right. Would you rather do a sunrise hike in the Dolomites or a sunset in the on the Amalfi Coast?
Ooh, I mean, I think I'm a little biased here, but I think I gotta go sunset on the Amalfi.
All right. Christmas markets in Vienna or a tapas crawl in Seville?
Ooh, tapas crawl in Seville.
All right. Cold
Definitely.
plunge in the Baltic or a thermal soak in Budapest?
Thermal soak
Okay.
in like the Turkish baths.
Budapest is in Hungary, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Uh, road trip through France or a coastal drive along, I don't know where this is, the Wild Atlantic Way. I should have probably looked that up.
Ooh, oh, this is tough. Probably road trip.
Yeah, yeah. Coastal drive or a road trip. Yeah, because that's like France.
Yeah.
Night train in Paris, or a ferry through the Croatian islands.
I think I gotta go ferry.
Mm-hmm. Rooftop bar in Barcelona or a candlelit wine cellar in Bordeaux.
Ooh, the wine cellar, because they'll have some good stories, I'm sure.
Yes, yes. All right, Miss Italy, gelato or cacio e pepe?
Oh my God. I'm a savory salty girl, so I'm gonna go cacio e pepe.
Okay, okay. Midnight swim in the Adriatic or a dawn dip in the North Sea.
Midnight swim.
All right,
Yeah.
backpacking in the Scottish Highlands or island hopping in Greece.
Oh, island hopping in Greece.
Yeah, you're a warm weather gal, I know.
I'm cheating a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All right, Negroni or Aperol Spritz?
Aperol spritz.
Yeah, not Negroni's
Don't
an
judge
acquired.
me.
Yeah, Negroni's an acquired taste. I'm a Negroni gal,
Yes.
so
I
yeah,
like Negronis.
yeah.
It's just if it's gonna be a casual happy hour aperitivo, I gotta do the spritz.
True, true. Aperol Spritz never. Yeah, that is the summer drink.
It's like the
Cool. Thank you
classics,
so
yeah.
much for doing this with me, Sophia. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Olivia. This was so fun. It's like a great trip down memory lane and also some good reminders for myself as I'm now
Yes, I
almost
appreciate you
twice that
sharing the
age.
story. Thank you. I should say grazie, right?
Grazie. Yeah, exactly. Brava, brava.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.